Let me invite my guest to join us here. Kevin Byrne is Putnam County Executive, who was elected last year in the general election, and he begins his 3-year term as of the first of this year. Kevin worked with us in his prior assignment as a New York State Assemblyman, and he represented a couple of the northern Westchester communities along with the bulk of Putnam County in the state legislature. And we worked together cooperatively on a number of different projects. And of course, his background has both staff work at the congressional level for a prior U.S. Congresswoman. He's also been a planning board member in his home community of the town of Putnam Valley. So he's got municipal experience, federal experience, and now as a chief executive of Putnam County, we're very happy to be working together. As I mentioned last week when Steve Newhouse was our visitor, the county executive of Orange County, and in a few weeks we have Ed Day, the county executive of Rockland County, joining us. Those of us who share the same geography in the lower Hudson Valley have many things in common. We share the great Hudson River. We have much in common in our transportation routes, particularly with Putnam County, because we share the Taconic Parkway, the I-684-84 combination is a route through both Westchester then into Putnam County. We have 2 lines together, the Harlem line and the Hudson line of Metro North. We have a joint workforce task group that is both a Westchester-Putnam activity, but so many things link us because of our common geography. And hopefully as we work together going forward with the Byrne administration, we'll find new ways to work together. Many people live in Putnam, work in Westchester, and the reverse is also true. And if you're going to do a little bit of tourism, there's a lot of nice places to visit over the border in Putnam County. So I'm very happy to invite my colleague, Putnam County Executive Kevin Byrne, to the microphone so he can share some of his thoughts and information about Putnam County. Mr. County Executive, thank you for being with us here, just a little further south in Westchester.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, it's always good to be back in Westchester. I want to thank Westchester County Executive George Latimer for being such a gracious host. I have spent many hours in this building in Westchester County, previously as your state legislator for the 94th District, which included the towns of Yorktown and Somers, as well as most of Putnam County. And I always enjoyed working with George, both in your previous role as a state senator, but also as the county executive. The communication always flowed very well, always very professional. We had to deal with a lot of struggles together, particularly when it came to utility companies. I remember United Westchester was an effort that we worked with former Assemblyman David Buchwald and County Executive Latimer. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the many phone calls and briefings that we had during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic with the governor's office in both Putnam County and in Westchester County. And it is a pleasure and a privilege to be here, and I want to thank you again for welcoming me, George. I do miss many of my work in the State Assembly, particularly the people that I interact with. I enjoyed serving about 60,000 people in my Assembly district were from Westchester. So I do miss dealing and interacting with them. I'll tell you one thing I don't particularly miss is the state budget process. And as the county executive of Westchester alluded to, we are still without a complete budget from Albany, and we all anxiously await to see what the final product is. A lot of the decisions that they make at the state level will affect us at the county level, how we continue to deliver our services and operate efficiently. So we are appreciative of the work that our state representatives are putting in, and we hope that they have a resolution soon. I will want to start just by talking about some of the early work that we have done in Putnam County under my administration, and some of the early successes, some of the small victories, and some of the long-term visions that we've laid out for the people of Putnam County. In Putnam County, we have 6 towns, 3 villages that represent close to 98,000 to 99,000 people in Putnam County. On day 1, January 1st, New Year's Day, went into the office building, and the very first thing that we did, it might sound a little silly, but I ripped out the VIP parking spaces for the county executive, the deputy county executive, and the chair of the legislature. We're a small county. I'm 38 years old. I can walk an extra 15 yards to get to the county office building, and if there's truly an emergency, I can park on the curb. But the truth is, if there's an emergency, I'm not going to be tucked away in my office. I'll probably be at the EOC with our Bureau of Emergency Services. We've also unwrapped and rolled out a brand new county website. In the past, our Putnam County website, putnamcountyny.gov or putnamcountyny.com, both work. The website was cluttered with ads and advertisements for various events and ad space. That's not the purpose of county government. What we want to do is make it more user-friendly, accessible for people that are trying to access services from their county government, whether it's our county clerk, our DMV, our social services, our mental health, our health department. There's a lot of very important services that are provided at the county level, sometimes funded and mandated at the state level, but the county level and local government is where the rubber meets the road. So having a functioning, user-friendly website is important. We also restored our employee recognition program. It sounds like something simple, but our employee recognition program was disbanded and discarded for over a decade. For reasons unknown to me, our county clerk actually helped me find an old plaque in a closet in one of the lower offices in the county office building when I said I wanted to bring back the employee recognition program. And we found that on the plaque there was a number of public employees that have been recognized for outstanding work, but the last person to be recognized was in 2011 under the former county executive Paul Eldridge, who now serves as our county's personnel director. We not only restored that program, but we have now put that plaque to good use and have rehung it in the county office building's foyer for all residents and county employees to see. We also started a American Rescue Plan Act review committee. So in Putnam County, one of the things that we did that was unique was my predecessor, the previous administration, the Odell administration, they used a substantial portion of their ARPA allotment from the federal government to provide money to local governments for capital projects. Now in Putnam County, the way sales tax was initially structured in Putnam County, they don't share that revenue with local governments. There are plenty of other services that the county government provides and delivers to local towns and villages and school districts. But this was a way of providing additional relief to local governments, which also received ARPA funding from the federal government directly. But this ARPA review committee that we have created, it's important because there is a number of requirements and regulations that local municipalities must adhere to make sure that money, that federal aid, gets put to good use and that we don't have to give it back. And we've already put that ARPA review committee to good use and have had to transfer some of the dollars for different projects to ensure towns like the town of Putnam Valley are able to keep that money. One of the things I did in the state assembly was engage with the community with constituent forums. We've hosted a number of constituent forums in the past, my previous role, but for whatever reason, previous county executives in Putnam have not held town hall forums. In my first 2 months, I already held a town hall forum, and on Saturday in February, quite frankly, the coldest day of the year, we held our first town hall forum at the Lake Carmel Volunteer Fire Department in the town of Kent. We had dozens of people show up. Even though I gave them some free coffee, I don't think that's really why they stuck around. They had some very informative questions, detailed questions, which is valuable for me as your county executive to learn and to grow, but also to give them the answers that they are seeking. We also identified and implemented new savings initiatives, and this is very important as someone that is striving to always deliver a more affordable, accountable governmental service. We look for savings both large and small. And at the smallest level, we did things like cancel the cable TV subscription in the county executive's office. And I replaced it with an Amazon Fire Stick that simply relies on our own existing internet. It saves us about $120 a year. Not big money, but it's something. And we try to identify everything, large and small, where we can save taxpayer money. We also painted my personal office in the county executive suite and furnished it at no taxpayer expense, saving an additional, exceeding $1,500. We've done other medium to large scale savings by restructuring the county executive's staff and budget with the various departments, where we saved over $104,000, and that was just with a few budget transfers that we submitted to the legislature the second week of January, and that was passed in February and signed and enacted into law. We also instituted a new policy of reviewing and scrutinizing every new county contract. That creates a lot of work, but it also creates new opportunities, and that very much is the theme of this administration, exploring and making sure that we seize those opportunities. Examples of projected savings for 2023 exceed $500,000. So through construction contracts that we reviewed and scrutinized, we've identified over $100,000 in savings. By locking in lower rates for our utility bills, over $185,000 is projected in savings before the end of the year. By initiating a new equity leasing of fleet vehicles just for our sheriff's office, this is not countywide, we're projecting over $450,000 in savings in taxpayer spending. And our risk management team, our all-star team from risk management, they've worked relentlessly to identify new methods to reduce risk, liability, and realize greater financial returns and cost savings through greater rebates and lower costs. That has already totaled and are projected of exceeding over $260,000 in savings to the people of Putnam County. And that is all this year, all within our first 90 days of office. And as any executive will tell you, one of the biggest things you have to do is you have to rely on competent, intelligent, professional personnel. And it's no secret that in Putnam County, we have a lot of senior managers that are looking to move on as they face retirement. So we have a lot of things that we have inherited as far as vacancies that we needed to make sure we took control of to ensure that there was a smooth transition and that essential services are delivered to those who need them in Putnam County. By doing so, we posted immediately every vacant position in Putnam County on January 1, something that could have been done months in advance, but was not. So first thing, post those positions. And we also seized that opportunity by using a professional selection committee process to interview personnel. It's not someone that I just need to like. It needs to be a professional, competent person who's going to do the job right for taxpayers. We've done this process for the Bureau of Emergency Services. Our health commissioner has agreed to stay on till the end of the year. We plan to utilize that process for health as well. We've utilized it for real property. We're utilizing it for highway and facilities. Finance, as our finance commissioner is looking to retire mid-year, but graciously has agreed to stay on as a consultant. Our DSS mental health commissioner, who has served for many, many years in Putnam County, Mike Piazza, a tremendous public servant. He's agreed to stay on throughout our budget process, which would bring him to the month of November. We have a new county attorney that we have appointed, and we have a new purchasing director that we have appointed. I've also made the appointment of Neil Zuckerman to remain on the MTA board. The Westchester County Executive talked rightfully about the importance of the MTA and its importance to both this region, Putnam and Westchester County, and we are part of that MTA region. We have both the Harlem lines and the Hudson line, including the last stop to the express line in the Harlem line at Southeast. Neil Zuckerman is the finance chair of the MTA board, and he's proud to call Putnam County his home. And I was proud to give him the nomination to recommend to the governor and the state senate. And this is a nonpartisan appointment. Mr. Zuckerman and I belong to different political parties, but the people of Putnam County see the value that he brings to the board and to us as residents and as customers of the MTA. We also have a number of appointments to the Board of Ethics. Every single member of the Board of Ethics in Putnam County, when I took office, had an expired term of office. So again, we posted the volunteer positions and corresponded with all the current members so they could reapply if they want to stay on the board. And speaking of ethics, we also identified and resolved what I believe was a long-standing ethical conflict, an inappropriate relationship with one particular media outlet that they had with the county. We learned that for years, a reporter for a local paper had been serving as a volunteer public information officer for the county's Bureau of Emergency Services. While the individual was and is very well respected around the county, I learned that he had an unfair and improper advantage by having access to county facilities, personnel, and operations when no other member of the media had. The reporter had possessed a county ID that gave him full access to sensitive and secure county facilities, such as the 911 Center and the EOC. This provided that one media outlet with inappropriate exclusivity to county government emergency communications and personnel. Previous administrations were all too comfortable with this relationship that may have given them favorable coverage, or they lacked the political will to make the needed change. I believe it was wrong, and I ended it. This also leads to the need for greater transparency and accountability in our county government, Putnam County, no matter how politically difficult it may be. It remains a top priority of my administration, and to that end, I have proposed legislation in Putnam County that is unique and different to many counties, namely the Taxpayer Transparency Act, which has been submitted to the legislature for their review and consideration. This legislation would self-mandate live streaming of all legislative public meetings and create a new budget transparency website so regular, typical residents can go online and actually understand the budget and read it in layman's terms. We also proposed a taxpayer bill of rights, which would require a supermajority, 2/3 vote of the legislature to increase property taxes at all. This goes beyond the state property tax cap. And it would also increase access and comment periods during budget hearings. Now, it's worthwhile noting that unlike Westchester, Putnam County only has 9 members of the legislature. So a supermajority is 6 versus 5. What may be good for Putnam does not necessarily mean it's good for all counties. Other legislative proposals that we have advanced forward for the legislature's consideration is a resolution declaring our county support for our existing United States Constitution, transforming and reorganizing our Highway and Facilities Department to a Department of Public Works, which is something that every other county in the region has, and is a name that is much more fitting for the work that our men and women in the Highway and Facilities Department does. They don't just work on roads and bridges. They are the Highways Division, they have a Facilities Division, an Engineering Division, and a Parks Division. And they deserve a brand and a name that reflects the work that they do. We've also proposed a $2 million budget transfer to support a facility improvement fund to support county government facilities that our public employees work in and our residents visit and that they rely on. And they deserve to work in an environment that is safe and is a place of pride. The legislature has this on their agenda for their full meeting tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing them pass it. We're also launching initiatives to do more in support of our most vulnerable in Putnam County. Many counties have received funding from the opioid settlement funds, and to date, Putnam County has not spent any of it. It is my belief that no government should hoard these dollars, and we should make sure that it gets out to the people that need it, not to be used to fund county government budget gaps, but to be used to make a difference and help those who are hurt. And it was that in mind that we proposed to the legislature for a budget transfer of $85,000 to support the Putnam County Prevention Council to help those people in need. We've also recommitted ourselves as a county to think differently. As someone who passed a resolution to make ourselves a Think Differently county, we've also created a position in the Department of Social Services that creates the coordinator for the Office of Individuals with Disabilities, identifying a location also for a new state-of-the-art crisis stabilization center. All important things that are priorities of Putnam County government. And like all levels of government, Putnam County government actively works to serve and provide the public safety of all our residents and our visitors. Moving forward with an emergency services radio project is something that we continue to work on. And unlike some other county governments, Putnam County government, not just the towns, which is unique because of our size and scale, sometimes we can actually do more. It is Putnam County that is providing the contracted advanced life support services to our residents when they dial 911. And we're looking forward to improving and enhancing our work in emergency services by moving forward with additional capital improvements to the exterior of our emergency services facility. And in conclusion, and speaking of public safety, I wanted to talk about one last important point that I think brings our counties together. And the County Executive Latimer mentioned this earlier. An obvious example that affects us both is the consequences from the closure of the Indian Point nuclear power plant. And I remember being at and attending many of the closure task force meetings with the county executive's predecessor and with the county executive and his team participating as well. This has presented a host of issues for our area and our region. And while personally, when operational, I have always felt and believed that the benefits of a functioning, operating nuclear power plant, both environmental and economically, were great for the region and for the people of Putnam County. But that said, absent these benefits, I have joined my colleague, County Executive George Latimer, and the people of Westchester County in expressing that the planned dumping of wastewater into the Hudson River is entirely unacceptable. George personally raised this issue among our peers with representatives from the mayor's office of New York City and county executives all over the state at a meeting in Albany with the New York State County Executives Association. And I agree with him. There are alternative solutions for disposing of this water, and they must be pursued. Again, I want to close by saying thank you to George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, for having me, for the people of Westchester County, for allowing me to serve you in the Assembly for 6 years, and for being a great neighbor to work with and partner with in the years ahead. Thank you, George. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you with us here. The pleasure to have with us here the County Executive of Putnam County, the Honorable Kevin Byrne, and we look forward, Kevin, to working with you on many of these initiatives that you've identified. We are neighbors, and we have so many things that do link us, and we're happy to be the kind of partners that you can rely on. There's certain services that you have that we can benefit from, and then certainly the same is true from Westchester to Putnam. So do give our respect to our friends in Putnam County. Thank you very much. Kevin Byrne, County Executive of Putnam County.